those who are living, they all lived empty-handed. I've been hearing that for a long time. Not producing anything. How can you produce something that ordinary electricity generation and distribution is a big problem? Oil producing country that cannot refine our own crude oil, depending on importation. That is not life. And it will never change, ever. They award road contracts, they will never do it. One of them rode on the East-West Road. And that one is from the Bayelsa. See him ranting about the bad state, the terrible state of the road. People have died on that same road. Oh. Billions, hundreds of billions have been stolen on the same road. But just same talk. You see why when I said entire system, including your state government, the House of Assembly, they all have to go. When you're asking all of them to go. All of them have to go. And that is what you call revolution.
Go into the East-West Road. If that contractor does not have the capacity, please, Mr. President, hand over that road to the Niger Delta Development Commission. I was arranged to travel by air, and I told myself, those who are traveling on that road are Rivers people, are Bayelsa people, are Niger Delta people. And if they are suffering, let me go and see their suffering. And I couldn't believe what I saw today. Some people have been there for 1 week. Some have been there for 2 days. That is not the Niger Delta that we want to be. That is not the Niger Delta our forefathers dreamt about. And so I appeal particularly to our own son who is here representing Mr. President, to take this message to the President and let them act fast on the East-West Road. Thank you and God bless you all.
New sons, new. But it's all talk. And you know what Akpabiole said about the road as well? This is road that people use, right? And these guys have made so much money from it. The NDDC is talking about, actually had about 4 trillion naira looted. 4 trillion naira. 4 trillion naira. Akpabiole and co. That's a lot of money. It disappeared. You remember that probe when they were probing Akpabiole and they said, it's okay. Honorable Minister, it's okay. Off your mic. They said, including you. Everybody, we took care of everybody. And then one of the members of the committee probing the money, a lady, she was like, what do you mean? What do you mean by you take care of it? What do you say? No, not you. Ask your chairman. He knows. He knows how we normally do it. Ask him. How many of you remember that video? I'm so sorry I didn't bring it. The last time I used the video, it got reported that I had to cut it out of my entire broadcast, so I never want to use it again. But it's always part of my opening, whenever I opened up my program, I say, it's okay, Honorable Minister, it's okay. That's Akpabiole. 4 trillion naira was that money. That video was 4 trillion naira. The other guy, I can't remember his name again now. He collapsed. You remember that guy that had that attack? It was because of that money. It was because of this NDDC. It was because of the terrible roads in Niger Delta, healthcare system in Niger Delta. 4 trillion naira was just gone. Now, one of them drove on that road and was like, people have been there for 1 week. Some have been there for 2 days. Yeah, and all that. All talk. And here is another talk about the same road, though. There is no future in this. It is not sustainable. Even if you like them. When you look at all these things happening, your own life is also in danger. And if you think you can try and sort of survive anything, are you sure your own children can survive? What about other members of your family that could fall victim of any of the consequences of these actions. Have you ever thought of that? It's all right. Listen.
The East-West Road would have been completed under my tenure as Minister of Niger Delta under the last administration. But some stakeholders, particularly of Ogoni extraction, led a delegation to meet with the then president, President Buhari, to inform him that they did not want the Ministry of Niger Delta to complete the road. They wanted the road to be transferred to the Ministry of Works, at that time headed by my brother, former governor of Lagos State, Fashola. I was very shocked. We had just secured about 75 billion in our hand to conclude, at least particularly from Eleme Junction, when that came. And the president said, well, if that is what you want, so be it. Therefore, the road at that time was then transferred to the Ministry of Works that had no budget that year for the East-West Road. Even the 75 billion that we got from Sukuk could not be used. What am I saying? I'm saying it is Niger Delta that sometimes brings down Niger Delta. This summit must resolve to abolish the syndrome of PHD, which is pull him down syndrome. We must resolve to abolish that syndrome. From the day the Minister of Niger Delta stepped out of that road, no progress has been made to today. The Minister of Niger Delta inherited the road at 8%. And as at the time our brothers with some kings from Niger Delta came to insist that the money just released should not be used by the ministry, because they were afraid that the son of the Niger Delta was going to utilize the money in case something remained from there so that he would not make money. And it was also a son of the Niger Delta that convinced the then president to convoke that meeting in order to stop the man standing in front of you from completing that project. So it saddens me when the narrative, years after, is still about East-West Road. That should have been put behind us by now. Realizing, of course, knowing my antecedent as a man who could bring out water from the rocks in terms of transformation, like I did in Akwa Ibom State.
Nuisance, Lele.
He looted Akwa Ibom State of 107 billion naira. At the time he was governor, exchange rate in Nigeria was 198 naira to a dollar in 2015. Now, Akpabiole, if you use that to check what was the value of how much he stole, we are now talking about Akpabiole stealing over 500 or nearly $800 million. That's how much he stole as the governor of Akwa Ibom State. And the moment he went to bend the knee for Bokuwari, all of that was forgiven, and he was rewarded with the position of minister. He became a minister and stole more. Over 4 trillion disappeared. And there he was, talking about a 72 billion Sukuk loan that they got to repair the road or complete the road, right? And then some people in Niger Delta, no name, no nothing, they came, they said, oh, do not let Niger Delta Ministry construct this road. Give it to Ministry of Works. That's how they tell all this tale by moonlight, because they believe they are talking to stupid people, foolish people, who will never ask them to present anything at all. In fact, somebody was asking in the comments, where is the money now? Money to be gone. There is no future there. Take a look at this one. It's not just the politicians. There are other members of the private sectors that are milking Nigerians, and they are being protected by the criminal politicians in Nigeria. Here is a senator in Abuja engaging one private sector guy, right? On some money that government paid that was never really used for a project that was supposed to be for the benefit of the people. Listen to this.
Oh, when the Calabar Generation Company signed this agreement, when the Calabar Generation Company signed this agreement, I assume that the Niger Delta Power Holding Company was aware of it, right? Good. Now, I want to know, NDPHC, is Calabar Power Company the only generating company they own? So, when the capacity of that company started to go down, to take the gas, it would have made sense to find some other way for you, the mother company, to utilize the gas immediately as opposed to pushing it to the federal government.
So it's all part of the systemic. Thank you very much, distinguished senator, for the question, and a very good question at that. It's all part of the systemic issues in the sector. There is no, in the eastern axis, the gas supply, gas transportation network, you don't have a loop of gas transportation network. The gas supply pipeline for Calabar is ready from point A to point B, from Aku Gas facility to us. But be that as it may, Aku Gas at some point did some retrofitting so that could make this gas get to Calabar, just to Aloji. I just mentioned that. And we had gone to NGIC, they couldn't fix what is left. NDPAC took its money to fix what is left on that pipeline to make sure we receive gas, that same gas from Calabar, from Aku Gas facility, so that both Calabar and Aloji can now take that quantity of gas and we could easily consume that and even more. However, it's like I say, it's a mesh of network with different owners and different technical issues. We are on it. As I speak now, His Excellency the Vice President has scheduled a meeting tomorrow to be chaired by him with all the parties, all the different owners in the network. What to escalate it to him? All the different owners in the network to say, come, we have gas here. We don't have gas to generate at this power plant. We have more gas at this power plant. We want to use that gas at this power plant, but your network is impeding us. So let's see what can be done. So the meeting has been scheduled to hold tomorrow at the office of the Vice President. So we've been constantly on that. At a time, working with Aku Gas, we were waiting even for, I don't know if I should say, for OB3, so that we can also, flow this gas to our Western plants that are crying seriously for gas. We have 5 power plants in the West. They are all crying for gas. There's no gas to generate. So it's a network issue. It's a gas pipeline issue, which is not within our control, but we are doing all we can with the relevant parties to see that the gas is flown to where possible. Thank you.
Talking about later, in the beginning, you see, part of the problem that I find with all due respects, civil servants and non-private sector, it's not your money. It doesn't matter what happens. If it was a private sector person, he would put all systems in place so as not to lose that money. Even if he has to attach small liquefying plants, they have small ones now, regasification plants, anything, he would do something. But because it's government, everybody lets it waste.
Honorable Distinguished Senator Ma, from day one, I just told you the late Chief of Staff was on it. The JV IPPs who have the gas pipeline that could get that links up to NGIC line to get to Aloji from their facility did not allow us access. Why? Because Total had what they call domestic supply obligation for Aloji power plant. So they claimed exclusivity, but we said in the interest of the nation, we fought it. Distinguished Senator, I just mentioned to you that matter with Total was resolved in this National Assembly by your brother in the House of Representatives. I don't know if he's still there, Nicholas Mutu. I remember vividly. That was the first time I met him, but he came in, invited the parties, and that's how we resolve issues. However, they have left. We needed to do, and we have done all the connection works with our own money. We are not a gas transportation company, but just to tie to what you said, to make this work, we spent the money to make it work. However, there are still challenges with some privately owned part of the segment, and that we escalated to His Excellency the Vice President, and he has called everybody now.
Oh, when the Calabar Generation Company signed,
If Tinubu wins,
all of you are going into John. That is God has spoken. Just let it go live. Let it go live has spoken. Just we have said it. Let me say it in English so that they won't understand. Okay, sir.
If Nigerians vote for APC, we sink. We will swindle in poverty, and that the economy will be in shambles. If the government of APC continues,
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
The video you watched, the engagement between the senator as well as the other man, if you don't understand, I will help you. Whenever somebody tells you that Nigeria is an accident, Nigeria is a problem, now that kind of thing they are talking about. You know that Nigerian electricity grid, national grid, has been suffering warapa epilepsy. It has been epileptic like every now and then. Dakudaji. There are so many problems contributing to this. The first one is that in northern part of Nigeria, many of these power infrastructures, they are being destroyed almost on a daily basis by different terrorists, bombing some, cutting up some. It is that bad. In the southern part of Nigeria, they are suffering from what you can call the gas scarcity. I don't want to use gas scarcity. I want to find something more descriptive. Because Nigeria no get oil, Nigeria no get crude oil, Nigeria no get gas. Shaking shalaye fun I will shalaye. Nigeria is presented to the rest of the world as oil-producing country. Irony, because Nigeria is the only oil-producing country in the world that doesn't actually produce its own crude oil. Nigeria no gets ordinary pumping machine, borehole machine to pump 5-liter crude oil or drill and reach crude oil and start pumping. No. The criminals, your heroes past in Nigeria, your criminals past in Nigeria, they've always been rent takers. Royalty, ni wọ́n gbà. That is why the people that are drilling the oil well in Nigeria, you go see the Italianos, you will see the Chinese, you will see the Germans, you will see the British, you will see Shell, Total, you will see all kind and some other names that are not so loud. These are the people who come and pay for the drilling of the crude oil, of the oil, and they will say this place is going to be called operating a platform, OPL, something they call it OPL. They will now name it OPL 20, OPL 140. So when they now dig, those ones will now tell them and say, we don't put meter inside, though. This place that we just found oil, more than 1 billion liter did the place. So 1 billion, that's a lot. How long do you think you are going to, how many barrels are you going to be taking a day? Our machine will start taking maybe 500 barrels a day. It's okay, 500. Okay, 500. You know, get big. Don't you have bigger machines? The one that can take, like, let's say 2,000 or 20,000. I say, no, we'll start small. So it's called oil prospect. Okay, so we will stay here for 25 years. But you said 1 billion crude a day under the ground, Abi. So how much are you going to pay us? They say, well, because of our market value and our partners and our this or that, we'll pay you 30% of whatever we make from that place. So I roll 30%, bow. You need to pay us more than that. Now, you said it's 1 billion. 1 billion by 1 billion cubic barrel. That's what we, but sometimes it may be more, it may be less. And as a business side, we need to be on the safer side, so we can't pay more than, we'll pay you this. That's what Nigeria has been collecting. And that is why Nigeria will remain poor. Nigeria is collecting just about 40% of the crude oil and gas being extracted from Nigeria. So they decided to now make laws that says from that gas, from that crude oil, especially the gas, they are building gas plants to generate electricity. Obasanjo built 11 gas plants to generate electricity. And it's true, about 4 or so of them are in the southwest of Nigeria. So those power plants need gas to power them so that they can generate the electricity they will distribute to your houses. And this allocation of gas are supposed to come from these companies who have also set up their own refining this or that, where in the deal, as you are extracting this gas, you are going to give so amount of allocation to these plants to power them. It's a national thing. Sure, you get. And the problem right now is that the technical difficulties he's talking about is for this gas line or gas companies that are extracting the gas, paying royalty to Nigeria to fulfill their agreed allocation so that your power plant can have gas. Country will get gas. They beg for gas from those who are investing in their gas sector. And when those ones turn off the gas tap, electricity is back. That's how they are running Nigeria. That is how they are running Nigeria. Oil producing country that is simply just a rent seeker. Nigeria waits for some of them sometimes to sell the crude oil. You see, when the companies that are taking the crude oil, when they extract the crude oil, put them here on their different vessels, and they are floating all over the international water looking for buyers. And that is why that's their AKK contract network to drill the crude oil from Niger Delta and pump it from there straight through the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and straight to Europe. That Nigeria will supply gas straight to the heartland of Europe instead of having to pump them, put them on the ship, and begin to sail them to America or sail them to all this part of the world. Why not just build a pipeline? Nigeria bought into it. The criminals in Nigeria, they called it a partnership. America invested nearly $20 billion. Nigerian criminals decided to go and borrow $6 billion. They call it AKK projects. See the dubious stuff there? All of these are put together just to ensure that the money from these places, Nigeria is getting the steady supply of their costs. Whatever anybody wants to use the resources, take them. Just take them and give us our 40%. They are so selfish and greedy that they rely so much on the papers where they are writing their laws for those companies that are extracting their gas and their crude oil to fulfill their own side of the deal and let them use their infrastructure to supply gas to Nigerian power plants. And once the company says, oh, we're having difficulties, we can't do that now, the rest of you can just go to bed in the dark. That is how they are running Nigeria. So if they tell you about any future, it's actually better to tell them there is none. Finally, they're talking about the local government autonomy and all of that stuff, right? But I said something about people who have no power to choose their own leaders. Elections were supposed to be, if elections are free and fair, they are supposed to be the reflection of the people's will. It doesn't matter if the majority chooses something bad, but let them choose. But where you have no real choice, then you have no power. And when you have no power, you have no will. And all of these they've been systematically taken away from you, from us, using fear, threat, intimidation, gaslighting, blackmail, just to